stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Sure. A quorum is present for City Council, Successor Agency, Housing Authority, Finance Authority, Parking Authority, and Joint Powers Authority.
Any persons wishing to address City Council, Successor Agency, Housing Authority, Finance Authority, Park Authority, the JPA on any item on today's agenda may do so at this time.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you doing today? Today is April 2nd, 2019, 17 days away from the end of the 45-day moratorium limiting rent increases. We are still eagerly waiting to hear what the city's next steps towards a long-term solution for tenant protections are going to be. Our hope is that there is community representation in that decision-making process to ensure that what we need is fundamentally included. We envision an Inglewood where working-class families have access to secure housing and the resources they need to thrive, and we believe long-term residents deserve the right to remain a part of the community that they've helped shape over the city's long and rich history. And let's ensure that the residents that live here stay here. Now, many residents have been pushed out of Inglewood because of the failure to address the rent increase issue in a timely fashion. And while we're grateful that there is finally something being done, we are also sad for many of our neighbors and fellow community members who have already been displaced. There are many stories that I can tell, different conversations that we have had over the last couple years, more so now since the top of the year. As I mentioned, we're really excited about the work that the City Council and the city is doing to try to rectify this situation. But just want to implore, the community wants to be a part of that process, if at all possible. There have been emails sent out to each of your offices requesting sit-down meetings with community members so that you can see those stories, folks from your districts face up, so you can hear what's going on and how people are being treated. Today, you'll get a chance to hear some of those stories as well, particularly one on West Century. There's a whole building that was put on notice for the whole building being evicted on March 15th. I think there was correspondence to Councilman Morales' office to let them know about what's happening there. These stories are coming in day after day after day, and I'm just hoping that we can get to a solution quickly. So thank you very much for the time today, and I'm looking forward to hearing the report.
Any more public comment? You guys can come forward.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Wallace, and I'm a longtime resident of Inglewood, and I'm here again to speak on behalf of not just the moratorium, which is a step in the direction towards helping renters, but in having comprehensive long-term and permanent rent control for residents. Inglewood is 60% renters. This is not only the basis for the foundation of Inglewood in terms of its economy, but also in your voter base as well. And for folks who are interested in continuing to be here, it's important to ask yourselves, what kind of loyalty do the residents of renters have for you? And when you have new people who are moving in, what type of relationship do they have towards you? Is it from something that is just new and anyone who can be elected, they consider them? Or is it from people who have been here in a long time, who have a specific relationship to the city and to yourselves? And I think that's important to think about. And I come and I talk usually from a renter's perspective, but in your own interest, this is something that should be considered. The people who are residents here and the people who have a specific relationship to the city and to yourselves. And so, rent control is something that not only is going to help the economy of Inglewood, but also for working class families in general. It's something that is happening across the country, and Inglewood can set that example of not just abiding by the Costa-Hawkins or the California state rent control, but also making an example as a shining city that has taken those measures to protect the residents of rent control, an ethnically diverse working class city in the United States, as many others have gone by the wayside with people being pushed out into the corners of our state and into the corners of our country. And Inglewood can be that example. We can be those people who have made that decision to support the renters of Inglewood and made them as the priority as the city changes with the demographics of the NFL and the NBA, and not just be thought of as, well, is the city council, are they lining their pockets, is this the money, what is it? But no, make it.
Let me ask you this. How do we line our pockets? I've heard that before.
Oh, I mean, with having the NFL and NBA, I'm not trying to be rude or mean or anything.
Well,
and
you
I'm
are,
glad
because
my time has stopped.
No, I'm
but
stopping your time because you're making an implication about people's character, and so
I'm not.
I want to know, how would someone line their pockets?
I'm not making it, to answer your question, I'm not making an implication
Okay.
about someone's character.
Okay, all
At
right,
the
then-
same time,
right.
the articles speak for themselves. So I'm talking about things that are public knowledge that have been written about.
What, for instance?
Okay, so the amount of money that has been spent towards the police chief of Inglewood
What does
is the
that ha-
third
what does that
is the
ha-
third
what does that-
highest
what does that
that's
have to
in
do
the
with the
that's the
NFL?
third highest that's in the state. So when it
But what
comes
does
to
that have to do-
budgets,
what does that have to do with the
I do want to
NFL?
answer your question.
Yeah.
So when it comes to budgets and money not being available and saying that this is a reason why that we can't have rent control or support the working class of our communities, the money is there. It is available.
When
I started talking, when I started
What would
talking,
that have
I
to
presented
do
an
with the
argument that
general
you
fund?
actually agreed with was something that was discussed. People are saying that the city's lining their pockets. You just said that's something that's hard. And my
No,
response
you
to that
said it. You said it, and I wanted to see what you meant.
What I mean is that in order to dispel the things that people that you have admitted are talking about regarding, you just said that. You just said that.
I admitted that you said it, and that's why I was asking you.
You said, I've heard that. I've heard that people have said that, and I'm wondering. And I'm telling you, if this is what people are saying and this is what people are wondering as you have said it, then dispel those rumors, dispel those accusations
How would we
by
do
making
that?
comprehensive rent control that supports the people of Inglewood.
And
Make
since-
it clear.
since I've
Make
stopped your
it
time,
obvious.
How would that make change if someone was lining their pockets? How would initiating rent control, which is something we're considering, how would that change the actual reality if someone was doing something dishonest? That wouldn't make any difference.
Because the reason why people are saying that there isn't rent control or there isn't attention paid to renters and that there is money being spent elsewhere in nefarious ways, like the consolidated waste articles that I've been reading about, like the police chief of Inglewood being the third highest paid in the state, like the
Which
campaign
isn't true, but
assistant.
how is that
I mean,
nefarious?
I'm just telling you. You asked me a question.
I am definitely
and
asking you a question.
How would that change that? It would show that you're actually interested in supporting the working class of Inglewood and not just trying to move people out in these different ways that may implicate or show that there is a pattern that money is being spent towards big business and not towards the poor people and poor businesses of Inglewood.
Last
And you
question,
could just make it obvious.
Last question, how are we spending money towards big business? The NFL stadium costs the city $0. The ENA for the Clippers costs the city $0. So how are we spending money for big business?
I know that there was an investigation regarding consolidated waste and the fact that it was a $10 million contract, $10 million than was actually spent for the lowest bid that was there. I mean, I'm just telling you what I've read.
Okay.
If you wanted to talk about these articles, we could read them together and we could argue about those points back and forth. But
I just wanted to see where you were coming from. And thank you very much. Your time is up now.
I just wanted to make sure that I'm telling you that I'm quoting public information. I'm not just saying stuff.
You're quoting the LA Times, but thank you very much.
Oh, I'm quoting LA Times, Daily Breeze,
All right.
The Root,
ma'am?
CNN. I mean,
Ma'am?
that's where my information is coming
you're
from.
at time.
So you interrupted me, so that's why I'm out of
No,
time. But
I gave you plenty of time. You're at time, ma'am. Thank you.
anyway, I just want to thank the residents of Inglewood and people for showing up to support this issue because it's really important, and not just for us, but for yourselves and your political career as well. So I don't know if I have as many remarks, even though I generally agree with what the person that just spoke said. And I think that the issue that a lot of people are really upset about and furious about is every single month we have to worry about whether this is going to be the last month that we live in Inglewood. Every single month, what's this piece of paper on my door? Is this a piece of paper that's going to seal my fate to move me out of this city? Or worse, for me to be living in my car or living in a shelter in a place that many of us have grown up in districts that you all represent? People have a right to be furious and concerned about the fact that we have given this city our lives, our time, contributed to it politically and positively, and now we're facing homelessness. And it's a really good thing that there was this 45-day moratorium, but it's almost like, well, when the 45 days goes up, does that mean we're going to be homeless? Does that mean that we're going to be out on the streets? This is real talk for people who are on fixed incomes, people who can't make more than the 5%, that people that don't have another $1,000 a month to be able to contribute. And it's so important. I mean, the last speaker was saying this is a historic time for you all to make a decision to protect us. And it isn't just your area, Maxine Waters. A lot of folks who speak on community issues, who speak about people's issues, this is an opportunity to say, you know what? We're going to defend the people and have their backs. But we also know, similar to the situation with Walmart, that it really took us as a community mobilizing to force this issue. And we're going to continue to mobilize. We're going to continue to fight for it, not just to have an extension, which is a good thing. If there was an extension for a year and it was lowered to 3%, then to me that seems like more reasonable. But the issue really is having rent control where we're not at the mercy every single month of where we're going to live and where we're going to sleep and where we're going to afford our medication and where we're going to be able to use the in-home supportive services and other services that people need. And you all are in the position and really to take the fury and the anger and the frustration that people have as a serious political decision. And there's a reason why people from all over the country heard about this decision. It's because everywhere else in the country, we're getting kicked out of the places that we live and that we grew up in and that we've contributed to. And so I hope that we can get an extension, but in the reality, we need rent control. We need it even more progressive than Los Angeles. We need to have it so that people aren't being kicked out of their homes and that people take a position to do that. And I appreciate all of y'all coming here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Problem is this. I brought this elderly person here. She's one of the ones that's been evicted from 4949 West Century. She's one of the elderly persons being evicted. She has multiple disabilities and multiple health issues. She is facing to being homeless because of being evicted for no just cause. She pays her rent on time. She's on Social Security, and that's all the funds that she has. She's been living here in Inglewood, supporting Inglewood, and you and your team here is not sitting up there voting for rent control for people like her to be able to live in Inglewood in health. And every time she sits up here, as she's doing now, crying because she have nowhere to stay, because on May 18th, these people are going to be evicted out of their apartments with nowhere to stay. I have covered a lot of your events. I am a world-renowned celebrity photographer. I have covered many of your events, supported you. But as of right now, I don't support you or your city council. And I'm telling you to your face, either you address this, clean this city up, help these people that are in need, or we're going to recall you and your team. Good day.
Thank you, sir. Sir.
This can be your mother, this can be your mother or your grandmother.
Sir. Sir, why would you exploit this woman like this? Yes, please, sir. You're not telling me, you're not giving us any information about her circumstance. You said she's being evicted. Why is she being evicted? Because
Only the property owners at,
you said 4949 West Century. That sounds like a,
I contacted Mr. Rallis. I left many messages for Mr. Rallis. Never returned any of my calls. I called your office, came to your office several times. No, your office.
you have not talked to me. So,
Your office have sit back.
so let me tell you something. We're going to give you time right now. So explain to me why why is she being evicted?
She's been evicted because they want to renovate the apartment. They want to
Okay.
sit back talking about they want to come through and rewire the system in her building.
Okay.
Okay, she has nowhere to go.
Okay, let me ask you this. So they want to renovate her building. Has she got an eviction notice?
Yes, she has.
Okay, and what is the term, what was the purpose of the eviction?
Want to read it?
Yes, please.
Your office have a copy.
No, wait a minute. Ma'am. Hold on. Go ahead.
Now, sir, what is your name?
My name is Tyrone Cole.
And you live.
I have not received a call from you, at least a message, whatever.
I called you. I called you several times.
Let me explain.
You are lying.
Today, I received an email that was forwarded to me,
No, I didn't email you. I called your office.
it must have been.
I came in.
It must have been a
I
message
gave
I have
Bus.
not
I
yet
gave
received.
Bus. I gave her a copy of the eviction notice from her.
Okay, but just so that we can get to it, I wanted to say that, just to clarify. But my understanding is that issued a 60-day notice. Which was 10 days after our ordinance was given, right? But it was a 60-day notice which fell outside of it, of the 45-day notice, and that was the issue. So I did forward those emails to the city attorney, I believe, and this will be something that, since it's in an area where it's very difficult for us to answer before we actually either take action or have a absolute answer, it's very difficult to give you what you want to hear. So we send it to proper people. There will be an oral report at the end, which will give a date where we are gonna address that and see where it falls. But the stance that you take is making it very difficult for us to assess the situation, which obviously we've already thought about and we plan to address. Now, there are only so many issues that our ordinance will be able to address. Some that fall outside the date, timelines, and some that legally we cannot address because it doesn't fall within our parameters, then we won't be able to. Now, a lot has been said in the last 15 minutes about how we get our information. The problem with that is that there's an inference that if we don't sit with a particular group of folks, we don't get it. I can tell you that our residents have been extremely active in expressing each individual story. I personally have spoken to many, okay? No, and I haven't gotten your message, and I'll be happy.
I sit back and I talk to Bus assistant.
Okay, well, but just,
Not heard nothing from you.
okay, well, talking to you is never a problem. That's not a problem, but just to, exactly, exactly. And so that's what we took. And so now we have to do things the legal way.
According
Now,
to the law.
According to the law. Now, we can sit here and go back and forth, and at the end,
Sir, now we're sitting here talking to you, so don't be rude.
The democratic process, which is a separate process, is something that you guys have the right to do.
Yeah.
But that's different than the process we're having today. So that's really, you know, what we're doing is trying to address your question. It's difficult when we cannot take action immediately today to address an issue, and we're supposed to be expected to say, oh, this is what's going to happen in the future. Very difficult to do. So we can go back and forth, and you're welcome, and I'll look for your message. But today, you know, you'll get an oral report, okay? And I'll look for your message, and I'll give you a call.
All right, thank you, sir.
Are you probably lying?
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm doing lying. Up there and lie.
Good afternoon. Frustration with everyone, so I just want to bring a point to mind. I came with a question. I don't know if you addressed it before I arrived because I got here a little late. I just wanted to know at this point, as of today, what is the status of the moratorium? Can we expect
You'll hear about that later.
when on day 46?
Ma'am, you'll hear about it later on this agenda.
Today.
Okay. Just so, and I don't know if you guys are aware, but it needs to be known. There are 180 in the Inglewood Unified School District that now have open cases of homelessness as a direct result from what's been going on. I don't know, I'm speechless to watch everyone so heartless or so tunnel vision as to all of this. Something, please. You have people, just because they don't have a big family to fall back, or maybe they didn't get a 10% increase at the beginning of the year. It doesn't mean that they're not hardworking, doesn't mean they're not educated, and it doesn't mean that they don't want to fight for the city and be a part of it. And there's too many unjust reasons why people are being pushed out.
Good afternoon. My name is Yvonne. I'm an organizer with LA Voice. We work with 3 key churches in Inglewood. Inglewood First United Methodist Church, First Presbyterian Church of Inglewood, and Holy Faith Episcopal. We've partnered with some leaders in St. John Christendom Catholic Church, Catholic Parish, Inglewood Southside, and Center of Hope. I want to lift up the story of Diane Main. She's a 64-year-old retired teacher and banker. She called me last week because she was wondering if the 45-day moratorium covered her, which it did, except that a few months ago she received a $300 increase, rent increase, and then just a few months later, on March 15th, received a $75 increase. Right, so the 45-day rent moratorium did cover that increase.
The second
right?
increase, yes, it did.
And but she was still wondering, right? The increase happened less than a year after she got her $300 increase. Her husband is 75 years old. They're both retired. They're on fixed income, and they are just really nervous and scared that their rent is going to keep increasing. Even if it is a $75 increase, it's still more than they can afford on fixed income. And so as a representative of the faith community that we work with in Inglewood, or some of the key churches that we work with in Inglewood, we ask that you extend the 45-day moratorium and extend the protection for folks within our churches who are the churches that I work with are more elderly. They've lived in Inglewood for 30 to 40 years, and they don't want to move from the home that they've lived in for a long time. So I thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. I'm Chadima Ussery. I live here in Inglewood.
How you doing, Mr.
A
Essery?
surprise happened to me this morning. Wife came in and said a house had burned in one region. She forced me to drive over to see the place. It's a fire over there. So I go with her over on region just east of Hillcrest, And guess what? There's one single-story building there between two apartments. They're actually just tearing it down. Right today, they're tearing that one story down. I don't know what effect rent control would have on this new building if it comes up to be an apartment, but it's an issue that needs to be looked at and addressed, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. It's new construction, so it wouldn't be impacted. It's new construction, so it wouldn't be impacted.
Okay.
All right.
Evening, everyone. Jelani Hendricks with the Uplift Inglewood Coalition. As you can see, there's a lot of frustration, not only in this city council meeting, but throughout the entire city of Inglewood. And
Probably the state of California, probably the United
Yes.
States of America.
yes, this is true. This is true.
Absolutely true.
And like a few people mentioned, we have the opportunity to be a leader throughout the state, throughout the nation, as an example of how we can implement comprehensive rent solutions for our city. We could be that leader, and we really want to meet with you all. I think I speak for the entire coalition when we say we want to be a part of this process. On March 14th, I emailed every single city council member asking for a meeting with community members. We're doing our part. We're doing the best that we can to give information and offer help to people in the community. But at the end of the day, we would like to have meetings with you all. I have yet to receive a reply. So please, if you can, would really appreciate it if we can work something out and schedule a meeting. And once again, my name is Jelani Hendricks. I emailed every single city council member. So if you could just give me a date, time, place, so we can meet with community members instead of, doing it in this setting. I think we can have a better understanding, have a better conversation if we have something a little bit more structured that's geared totally towards solutions for rent. So please email me back. Once again, my name is Jelani Hendricks. Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Francis Taylor, and my question pertains to the state law with respect to this matter. The woman who spoke earlier who is being evicted, who's disabled, when she gets her notice from her landlord that she's going to be evicted, she has an opportunity to answer that lawsuit. When she answers, she's going to be given a trial date where she'll go to trial, and she'll be able to present her case to that judge. And my question is, will that judge be obligated to adhere to whatever the city decides, or will that judge adhere to the existing state law?
Okay, so anyway, we'll give you back some of your time. First of all, there was nothing that the gentleman presented that suggested, no, you can stay up there, Mr. Taylor. There's nothing the gentleman presented that suggested that any rent increase or any notice that she received was within the dates specified by the moratorium. Anyone that's evicted for any reason has the recourse to go to court and challenge the legality of that eviction. And as tried as hard as we could to get just a straight answer for what the situation was, I'm still confused about it. So let me tell you something, I have great sympathy for the lady that was here. She obviously is in distress. But the reality is that we're a nation of laws. And so there has to be something legally we could do. It's not good enough to come up here and say, someone's in a situation, and because they're in a situation, you guys must be bad guys, and you're lining your pockets. You can't, that isn't the way the world works. We are trying to do what's legal, compassionate, and just for not only renters, but the people that provide housing. And so this is not a binary solution. It's not black or white. It's not on or off. It's multi-layered. And it's more than coming in and saying, we're going to recall you, because sometimes that would be a favor. It is about thoughtful development of public policy, and that's what we intend to do.
My name is Willie A.G., and I live in the beautiful city of Inglewood. I want to appreciate this council giving these people an opportunity to come up and express themselves, listen to them. But I also want to caution this council that you represent approximately 115,000 people here in this city. And you have to listen to that 115,000 people too. They have sons just like these people that's in here. I don't know why they're in here. I don't know who asked them to come, but I got a strong feeling, and this is just my opinion. It all come from Madison Square Garden. This is my opinion that's got these people in here. I've been 53 years here in the city, and I'm not going nowhere. I'm not selling my property. I could sell it at a big profit, go someplace else, but I'm gonna stay right here in Inglewood. And, I feel sorry for these people if it's true what they're saying. But, the federal government's are doing a lot of things for people that can't afford to stay. It's sometimes you have to do things for yourself. You can't just sit back and wait for the government to take your hand and lead you and do everything you want them to do. The 115,000 people in this city, you owe just as much to them as these people sitting out here asking for something. I don't know whether you'll be able to give it to them or not, but I'm holding 5 of you people up there responsible for doing the right thing. I know each one of you. I've been a regular here for 20 years, and I know you guys, and I know you're gonna do the right thing. Represent 115,000 people, not 4 or 5 people that were sent here, in my opinion, by Madison Square Garden. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, City Council. My name is Hazara Price, and I am a property owner in Inglewood, and I spoke a few weeks ago. Just speaking to what the gentleman just spoke to, everyone is not property owners. People have lived here for years and years and years and contributed to the Inglewood economy, and they're renters, so they're not second-class citizens. And I'm not talking about, and I don't think, for me personally, my conversation is not about your new properties that are being bought, but people that have lived here for years and years and years. There is no reason that they should be displaced. There should be some type of rent control so people aren't in heightened states of anxiety about where they're going to live. I understand that it's a balancing act. You've got your developers, you've got new property, and the prices are going to be different, but there needs to be a place, from my perspective, where people can find a way to stay in their communities and not be put out. People who rent are not second-class citizens. They work just like the homeowners work, and where they came from is the same place that you came from, sir. We all have our rights, and you represent us. We were your constituency. We voted. Over 60% were in favor of rent stabilization or rent control. So those people's opinions have to be taken into consideration as well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, with that, we'll close public comment. Item 1, CSA 1 and H1.
Warrant register.
Move allow payment.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
City Council, Successor Agency, and Housing Authority members Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Chairman Butts.
Aye. Consent calendar, items 2 through 5.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Council members Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. Joint consent calendar, item 6 and CSA 3.
Staff report recommending approval of an agreement with HCI Systems, Inc. to install low-voltage safety systems throughout parking garage number 2 located at 115 South Locust Street.
Under the successor agency and the city council, approve items 1 and 2.
Second.
And
Successor agency, item 1.
still
Thank
second.
you. Thank you. City Council and successor agency members, Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Chairman Butts.
Aye, 01.
Staff report recommending adoption of ordinance number 19-08 to update the salary ordinance for fiscal year 2018-19.
Motion to waive further reading?
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Council members, Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye.
Who will introduce? I'm sorry, who will adopt? Oh, we're going to adopt it, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm jumping in.
Council Padilla said he'll adopt it.
So I need a second. We're going to vote on this.
Second.
Madam
Thank-
Clerk.
Thank you. Council members, Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. A1.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a closed session regarding a potential claim regarding a property issue. As to that, the discussion was held and direction given to staff. As to A2, there's no reports from the city attorney's office.
CM1.
Afternoon, Mayor and City Council. On March 5th, the City Council requested a staff report be brought back to the City Council on rent stabilization ordinance moratorium within 30 days. This report satisfies the reporting requirement in the ordinance. The city is in the process of reviewing a number of rent stabilization ordinances from around the state, and more time is needed to complete this review, determine what, if any, of the information could be helpful in crafting an ordinance for the city. As such, staff will return on the 16th with its findings, but it is my understanding that staff may ask the council for more time to complete the report in the moratorium.
Thank you. CM2. Oh. Councilman Morales told me to synthesize it. So what that means is this is the 30-day report that was promised when the 45-day moratorium was introduced. The city manager, in his report, has asked that there be more time given for staff to finalize the recommendations to the council. And as such, to do that, if we are to do that, there's a 10-day noticing requirement that will occur before the item is brought back for the final report for the council action and deliberation and action. And so that's what he just told you. All right. Item CC1.
Thank you,
Reports to
Mayor.
the city clerk.
That's me, right? Okay. Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to kind of update all of us on the voting centers. In 2020, the Los Angeles County Register Recorder's Office will transition to a new voting model and let voters vote in voting locations throughout the county. It's convenient, secured, and accessible. You'll also be able to, they're going to have vote by mail drop-off locations that'll be available 29 days prior to the election. And voting will take up to 11 days prior to election, we'll have voting. And so we've partnered with the county, and they have identified 21 potential voting centers, but I'm asking for more, and I'm hopeful that we'll get them. And so these voting centers are throughout the whole city of Inglewood, and the county has reached out to all of their partners, us included, for a second round to identify more polling voting centers. And so once that list has been confirmed, it will be made available to the public. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So, we're now at CT1, all reports from the city treasurer.
Mayor, I would just like to mention, since the Federal Reserve announced they will not be raising the rates, the bond market actually plummeted. And the most recent bonds that I purchased for the last 6 purchases, our rates was 3.1, 3.2, 3.4, and 3.45. Now the 5-year bond is at a 2.31. So that's about a 50 basis points drop. Even the 10-year bond is at 2.49, and the 7-year bond 2.4, and the 30-year bond is at 2.89. and the U.S. national debt has risen to 22.028 million. And the U.S. government posted the largest budget deficit ever, increased up to $234 billion in February, and that was from 215 billion a year earlier. So the debt is steadily rising. And also just want to remind the public regarding the City Treasurer Community Workshop that's going to be held again on April 27th. It's the last Saturday in the month. It's from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Should you have any questions, just give a call to my office at 310-412-5642. Going to have a lot of very interesting comments and just some excellent speakers. Again, we'll have Michelle Hicks from Hicks Realty, David Wilson from Primerica, Larry Springs from Service Company, Realty Company, and Lucille Blair from Inglewood Park Cemetery, who will be speaking on final rights, and also Dr. Milligan, he's a business and credit consultant, and Michael Foster, Lending Key, and from Allstate we'll have someone from Billy Campbell's organization to speak, and we'll talk about eliminating debt, the 3 C's of investing, mortgage types, pros and cons, down payments assistance, which is available, grants and other assistance, first-time home buyers, qualifying criteria, credit importance, employment, documentation, kinds of insurance, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and homeowners insurance types, renter's insurance also, and understanding your student loan debt and how your credit score works and how to improve it. And we'll also talk about Medicare and just an array of other very interesting topics. So be sure to come out. Refreshments will be served. And again, it'll be from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. And again, my phone number at the office is 310-412-5642. And it's going to be held in the Community Room A, first floor. Thank you.
Thank you. CSA 2, successor agency is in session.
Approval of the minutes for the successor agency meeting held on March 5th, 12th, and 19th, 2019.
Move approval. Second.
Madam Clerk.
Successor agency members, Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Chairman Buds.
Aye. Adjourn the successor agency. The Housing Authority is in session. H2.
Approval of the minutes for the Housing Authority meeting held on March 5th, 12th, and 19th, 2019.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Housing Authority members, Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Chairman Buds.
Aye. Adjourn the Housing Authority. The Finance Authority is in session. F1.
Approval of the minutes for the Finance Authority meeting held on March 5th, and March 12th.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Finance Authority members, Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Chairman Buds.
Aye. Adjourn the Finance Authority. The Parking Authority is in session. P1.
Approval of the minutes for the Parking Authority meeting held on March 12th, 2019.
Move approval. Second.
Madam Clerk.
Parking Authority members, Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Chairman Buds.
Aye. Adjourn the Parking Authority. The Joint Powers Authority is in session. JP1.
Approval for the minutes for the Joint Power Authority meeting held on March 5th and March 12th.
Move approval. Second.
Madam Clerk.
Joint Powers Authority members, Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Chairman Buds.
Aye. Adjourn the JPA. Public comments. Person who wishes to address City Council on any matter connected with city business not elsewhere considered on the agenda may do so at this time. 1 minute. Here, close public comment. Mayor and council remarks. Councilman Padilla, District 2.
Great, thank you, Mayor, appreciate it. And, I want to just thank everybody for coming out. This rent moratorium, everything that's going on related to that, it's a very involved situation. It impacts so many folks. And so we want to, as a council, as a city, we want to make sure that we get it right. So, trust that we hear you. We get phone calls from both sides of the aisle, the renters and the property owners. Everybody's got their vested interest, but we have to look at the best interest of the city of Inglewood.
And so we're looking forward to the staff report to really sit down and take a look at what's being recommended, and then we will come out and, report it out to you, to the residents, to the community. But I want to thank everybody that came out to voice their concerns or their thoughts and ideas about that issue. On another note, a couple of upcoming events. April 20th, Saturday, here at the South Lawn of City Hall is our Earth Day. And so we'll have different vendors out here, all good things Earth Day, and but also it'll be a jazz festival. And I don't think, but I know we put together the best Earth Day festival, bar none. And the jazz part of that festival is the bomb. So if you want to come out and enjoy a wonderful day here in Inglewood, come out on April 20th for Earth Day, and then stick around and enjoy the beautiful, wonderful jazz music that'll be performed live on stage. I also want to thank the Tuskegee Airmen for inviting me last Thursday to their 4th annual Tuskegee Airman Day. It was held here locally at the Proud Bird. Next year, I'm going to bring them over to Inglewood to host it at our senior center. But it was just a blessing for me to sit at the table with so many heroes, true heroes. And I just thank the Lord for that opportunity. I also had a chance to attend the Lenox School District's groundbreaking for the Measure Q projects that they have going on over at the Lenox Unified School District. So they're all doing some wonderful things here regionally, and so Lenox is also on the move. But then don't forget, April 14th, we're doing a pet clinic over at the District 2 Community Center, and that's open to anybody in the city of Inglewood. If you have a dog or cat, you want to get them vaccinated, you want to get them chipped, so that when the fireworks start back in June and stuff, and they run, we can find them and return them back to their homes. And with that, I want to thank everybody for coming out, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you, Councilman Franklin, District 4.
So thank you, everyone, for coming. I'm really focused on quality of life issues because I've been receiving a number of phone calls, email messages, and written correspondence regarding the city's efforts on weighing in on having a balance with regarding the quality of life, reference to rent, being a renter, being the owner of the property, and not being a slumlord and or deferred maintenance, things not being done when it should be done, but yet you want to increase the rent. So I encourage you, if you still have correspondence you want us to weigh in on, we refer those to the city manager and his staff as they are now compiling that information, and then we'll be coming back with the city council with their recommendations. So again, do not take your comments lightly. We have not, we will not, and we're hoping that upon the final results, that there is a balance of a win-win. In this case right now, it's a no-win, and we're trying to come up with a balance, so it's a win-win for our quality of life in the city of Inglewood residents. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Morales, District 3.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. You know, it's always an opportunity to get a really good sense of what's going on. You know, some ways are better to continue a conversation than others, but everybody makes their choice. In regards to rent control, it's going to be a passionate issue all the way through, all the way through. And I can tell you that my colleagues, of course, have mentioned that we've received comments and emails and phone calls from both sides, from renters and from property owners. And many of the property owners that call, actually, I can tell you all of the property owners that call are kind of mom and pops which own their own home here and have invested in property also here, not a major development, just another home, another apartment building that they've worked really hard for. Because you see, big investors, they won't call us to tell us that they're going to raise it 50% or 90%. They don't dare do that. You know, we get the owners that rely on this, that have been developing their family's future, you know, and those are our sentiments also. And so when we develop a plan that addresses as many people as possible, we're probably going to miss some. We're probably going to miss some because there is no perfect solution to this rent issue. I can tell you that as many people that have come forward to our meetings and basically have chosen to blame us for the rent issue and have challenged us on our solutions, there has been at least an equal amount that have approached us that have actually benefited from the ordinance already and have reached out just to thank us, have sent emails just to thank us. So I know we will not extend a perfect solution, but I know we're trying. So, you know, feel free to send us as much information as you can because we really are paying attention to it. I read everything that I'm getting. So if you send it, I'll read it. But know that, you know, in the end, we're trying to create a city based on the balance that works with this issue. And we have to think about as many sides as possible and do our best to get it right. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
So, this situation with escalating rents and property values is not indigenous to Inglewood. Something that's occurring throughout LA County, throughout Southern California, throughout the state of California, and throughout the United States of America. And this is opportunistically being portrayed by some as something that is indigenous to Inglewood because we're no longer a poor city. The most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But what's real is that people are investing in the city and that they are paying 3-4 times what property was worth when it was purchased, and they are raising rents. And in every one of those cases that's come before me, I have negotiated or attempted to negotiate something that gave the tenants options. And some of those options that I was able to negotiate personally, I'm going to recommend be part of our final solution for this. The issue is not the city's progress. Everybody should want the progress. There are more jobs available, more Inglewood residents working today than any time in the last 40 years. Unemployment rate has dropped from 17.5% to as low as 4.8% about 6 months ago. Minority and women-led disadvantaged businesses made $166 million in subcontracts for the stadium project in 2017. There's a lot of good going on in the city. City's gone from being broke down to its last 11 million to 53 million in the bank. A lot of good things have come with the way the city's been managed. And so now we tackle something that's actually been going on since 2012. Rents have been going up in this city, in the South Bay, throughout Los Angeles County. And still to this day, the average rent for a comparable piece of property, you know, studio 1, 2, 3, 4 bedroom in Inglewood is lower than anywhere in the South Bay. So what does that tell you? That tells you that this is an issue that is not local to Inglewood. Now, what are we going to do about it? We care about our renters. Even when Uplift attempted to qualify their initiative for the ballot and failed to get the number of signatures, we could have forgot about it. We didn't do that. We set up a website. I negotiated personally with investors, and we kept people in their homes. And now we're trying to develop a solution that allows those mom and pops that provide housing, to make a reasonable return on their investments that were undervalued for so long, while at the same time moderating the impacts of big developers and investors that come in the city. And while they want to upgrade the housing, they have to realize there's a social cost to raising rents. And they're going to have to consider that in their performer when they buy in Inglewood, that they're not going to make all their money back at once. And that's definitely my intent out of this. Now, as far as who we talk to, first of all, I want to thank everybody that came out here. But one thing that's consistent for me is a lot of people that come out and speak the most passionately. I've never seen them in the city in the 8 years I've been mayor, nor in the 19 years I worked for the police department. I find that fascinating. And I also want to make it very clear that I, for one, don't intend to bring someone to the table and a group like Uplift that has sued the city twice to try and make us put housing on land that the FAA has declared you can't put a non-noise, aircraft noise compatible use. People that are engaged in what I think is frivolous litigation against the city, that is not someone that I'm going to say, oh, help me do the right thing for our renters and for our property home providers, housing providers, not going to do that. I'm not. And for the record, I haven't received communication from anybody from Uplift regarding this issue. So this is not a game. This is not a political game. And when people come up and talk about, we'll recall you, these are the people that are going to vote for you, let me tell you something. Everybody that's ever sat up here that listened to that and used that in their calculus as to making decisions, they don't deserve to represent you. You deserve people that care, that are thinkers, that are reasonable, that understand that any solution to this where anybody's completely happy is the wrong solution, because that's impossible. That's impossible. So we want to make it clear to you, we've heard everything you said. I pay the most attention to people that I've seen throughout my 8 years as mayor. I pay the most attention, and a lot of them are renters. And I've had a lot of renters come up and say, thank you, Mayor. I want to thank you and the council for the moratorium. Thank you for giving thought to this. You didn't have to. Prop 10 failed at the state level. Uplift failed to get the signatures to put something on the ballot, but the council stepped in anyway. If you were looking at the vote, you'd say, well, people didn't vote for Prop 10 and they didn't sign those petitions, so you should leave it alone. But we didn't. Set up a website, intervene personally, and I know about 60 residents that had options today, and they've exercised them, and they're happy that they didn't have before. So let me promise you this. We are going to give great deliberation and consideration for whatever staff brings to us, and we're going to try to come up with a solution that is fair, that is not bowing to a few shrill voices, that considers the majority of the community. And that's what we're going to do. So anyway, with that, we're adjourned.